Dragon Ball Z is full of iconic shots. Almost every single significant scene has a moment that would be very deserving of the title, Best Shot in Dragon Ball Z. However, I think that the best shot comes not from any famous fight, but from the very first scene of the very first episode. This is my favorite shot in Dragon Ball Z. Now, you might be looking at it and wondering, what's the big fucking deal? And I wouldn't blame you. I mean, this is purely functional. There's no characters and therefore no character animation. The shot composition isn't anything to really be particularly impressed at, and it's not even immediately identifiable as DBZ. Well, in order to understand what I mean by this, we need to take a look at the opening of another very famous anime. Dragon Ball was an immense success in Japan. The Toriyama and Toei Animation collaboration pair was already famous due to Dr. Slump, and this funny, Chinese fantasy-inspired martial arts adventure series had plenty of its own bountiful merits. It even has the distinction of having had the highest single individual television ratings in the entire franchise, episode 47, with a whopping share of 29.4%. Damn! However, behind the scenes, there was discontent. Both Toriyama and his then-editor, Torishima Kazuhiko, were constantly trying to think of ways to boost the manga's popularity, leading to Piccolo Daimao, the first true villain, in the words of Torishima. And with this came the change to a more serious, action-heavy tone. A drop in the ratings of the anime was perceived quite cynically to be a result of the cartoonishness of the Dr. Slump-trained staff clashing with this more serious tone. So Torishima personally requested a change in the production staff to include two Saint Seiya alumni, screenwriter Koyama Takao and producer Morishita Kozo. And then came the Saiyan arc, aka the best part of the franchise. And the arrival of Raditz marked some of the biggest changes in the entire manga. The revelation of Goku's alien nature, the introduction of his son, fights against enemies of insurmountable power, and the science fiction elements taking the forefront. The freshly helmed anime staff saw this as a perfect opportunity at rebranding and hopefully boosting back up those ratings. So they approached Toriyama about changing the name of the show, and since he thought it was ultimately rather pointless and all of their proposed ideas were hot garbage, Toriyama simply added a Z at the end to hint at his own desire of ending the manga soon. Spoilers. So this shot conveys that energy in earnest. Raditz's pod juxtaposed against the scene of DB's title card, the science fiction elements literally bursting their way through the previous iteration. What once was set to a bouncy, energetic tune of adventure is now filled with an eerie quiet, broken only by the roar of the mysterious spaceship's engines and its looming, foreboding presence. It's the final coda for Dragon Ball. Something big is coming, and this image will never be the same again. Now, how much of this big change was just a marketing blitz is up for debate. Though there were some pretty drastic changes to the tone and art of Z, these happened rather gradually, and the actual animated turnover didn't happen until much later in the Frieza Android arcs. And all things considered, I think that the Saiyan arc looks and feels like the logical progression of the Piccolo Jr. arc. But whether or not it was just marketing blitz, the fact is it worked. It boosted the ratings significantly in Japan, and of course, Z would go on to become the most visible part of the franchise both domestically and abroad, forever ruining an entire generation of Commonwealth English speakers from ever pronouncing this letter as Z. This shot states in no uncertain terms the creator's intentions with this new show. Z, not Dragon Ball, Z. And it's important to note that both it and the DB title card are entirely anime exclusive. There is no such equivalent image in the manga, which continued just to be called Dragon Ball for its entire run. This shot only exists because DBZ is, well, Z. And that's why I believe this is the best shot in Dragon Ball Z.